Close your eyes and dive right in. World unknown, a journey begins. Steer your thoughts, shift your fate. Hack yourself, don't wait, don't hesitate. Waves of sound, guide your dreams. Ancient wisdom, modern schemes. Business goals, life's grand design. Unlock the power of your own mind. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song.
Greetings, beautiful human. My name is AJ, and you are watching AJ Inc. Triple M Coaching's Healing Trauma in Nature podcast event for June 21st, 2026. This event is actually the first lesson in the Human Programmer Academy, only found at hackyourself.net. That's hack-yourself.net. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are missing out. Please pause this video and go to hackyourself.net immediately. The video will be paused at the same spot when you get there, and you will have access to the free workbook and content in the course so you don't miss out. That being said, let's get started. As most of you already know, my name is AJ and I'm a human programmer. That means that I'm an expert in self-hypnosis, and I help my clients easily and effortlessly rewire the unconscious programs of self-sabotage. Today's event is your first step in becoming the human programmer and living the life of your dreams. So let's get started with lesson 1. Words are spells from survival to safety. Becoming the human programmer. Have you ever walked through an old forest and felt something? Not a thought, not an idea, not a belief. Just a feeling. A feeling that somehow the forest knows something. Because the trees don't hurry. The river doesn't argue. The mountain doesn't question whether it belongs. Everything seems to understand its role, its place, and its purpose. And then there are humans, the only creatures on earth capable of convincing themselves that they don't belong. The only creatures capable of arguing with reality. The only creatures capable of turning imagination against themselves. And that, my friends, is both our greatest gift and our greatest challenge. Because somewhere along the way, we inherited a strange power. A power so common that most people never notice it. The power to cast spells. Now, when I say spell, I don't mean magic. At least not the kind Hollywood talks about. Talking about something far more powerful. The ability to use our words to shape perception, to direct attention, to influence emotion, and to create reality. And whether we realize it or not, we are all doing it every day. The human programmer. Imagine for a moment that you were handed the most advanced computer ever created. It can heal itself, adapt itself, learn, create, dream, love, remember, and even imagine. That computer is your human system. Your body is the hardware. Your nervous system is the operating system. Your beliefs are the software. Your habits are the programs. Your words are the commands. And your life, the raw data you sift through every day from out there, or at least the story you tell about it, is the output. Most people spend their lives staring at the screen, trying to change the output. Human programmers learn to update the code inside. And that's what we're beginning to learn now. That's right. How programs get installed. Think back to when you were a child, before you knew who you were, before you had opinions, before you had beliefs. You arrived here as pure, raw potential, like a fertile garden, like fresh snow waiting for footprints, like a blank journal just waiting for a story to be written. And then the programming began. Not because anyone was evil, not because anyone meant harm, simply because every generation teaches the next generation only what it believes to be true. Parents, teachers, religion, television, culture, friends, advertising, fear, love, pain, pleasure. Every experience leaving little trails through the snow. And eventually, those trails became roads. Words are spells. Have you ever noticed that the unconscious mind speaks in pictures? If I say, don't think of a ripe apple, what happened? Each individual watching this across time had to create the image of an apple before it could even begin to attempt to avoid it. This teaches us two things about our unconscious system. Number one, it cannot process negatives. When we say, I don't want something, the unconscious system makes a picture of what we don't want, and then it moves directly towards that picture. Two, each person watching saw the apple that they are most familiar with in the setting that they saw it most in their past. This is just a small glimpse into how we each live in our own reality. So this is the secret. The unconscious mind moves towards images, and our words create images. Words become pictures. Pictures become feelings. Feelings become actions. Actions become habits. Habits become identity. And identity becomes destiny. And suddenly, something as simple as language becomes incredibly important. Because most people spend their lives describing what they fear. Don't fall. Don't get rejected. Don't get hurt. Don't you mess this up. Don't end up like your father. Don't make the same mistakes I did. All the unconscious hears is fail, rejected, hurt, messed up. And then it faithfully begins preparing the body for the experience of the command that it received from the inexperienced human programmer. Here's an example for parents. Don't spill the milk, said to the child at the breakfast table, makes a movie of the milk on the table spilling in the child's mind instantly. And while the child is enjoying the show, the body is acting it out in real time. The inexperienced human programmer parent then tells the story that the child doesn't pay attention, while they are actually doing a perfect job of it. The problem is that the parent needs to understand how they and their child actually works. No shame, just understanding. The parent simply needs to begin telling the child to keep the milk in the cup. They could simply say, keep your cup upright, or keep your elbows calm so the milk stays in the glass. You see, the system is not broken. It's just listening the only way it knows how. It's our job to learn how to speak the right commands or spells. The problem is our survival programming. Saying what we don't want, expecting to avoid it for too long, creates a state of panic, fear, and confusion. And now we arrive at the first major program, the one hidden underneath almost all suffering: survival mode. There was a time when survival programming saved your life, when noticing danger mattered, when remembering pain mattered, when preparing for problems mattered. But many of us inherited alarm systems that never really learned how to turn off. The storm passed, the wars ended, the relationship ended. We left the abusive religion behind. We grew up and left the wounded inner child behind. The alarm remained engaged, and eventually the body begins treating safety as unfamiliar. Soon, peace feels suspicious. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Joy feels temporary. Not because anything is wrong, because the system is running survival code. And that is where our journey begins. Not with confidence, not with abundance, not even with success, with safety. Because a nervous system that doesn't feel safe cannot hear anything else. Now we're about to get into the most exciting part of this lesson. This is the application part where we're going to hear the everyday spells that are causing our problems, and I'm going to break them down for you. But before we get started, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. This event is actually the first lesson in the Human Programmer Academy, only found at hackyourself.net, hack-yourself.net. If you're watching this on the YouTubes, you're missing out. Please pause this video, go to hackyourself.net. The video will be paused at the same spot. It's magic, and you will have access to the free workbook with this information so that you could do this on your own. So do not miss out. Go to hackyourself.net right now. All right. Words are spells. Everyday malware language and how we fix it. So the first one, in everyday language, I hear people say all the time, oh, I forgot. I don't remember. And when you're talking to somebody and you say, oh, I was just going to tell you something and I forgot, what the unconscious mind hears is delete that file. I forgot it. That's the outcome I want. As the human programmer, you're commanding the system, so you won't remember it. But if you upgrade, the second you realize that the idea has not come to your mind, you can say, I haven't remembered it yet. Give me a moment. It will come to me. Say, my mind is searching for it now, and wait 30 seconds, and you will find it. Malware. I'm terrible with names. The unconscious mind hears, never remember names. Upgrade. You know, I'm getting better at remembering names. I'm trying. Malware. I can't remember anything. Sometimes as we go about our day, over time, we maybe have a pattern, maybe we're stressed out, and maybe we realize that we're having trouble that week or that month remembering, and we might start saying the spell, I can't remember anything. That is the start of a lifetime of forgetfulness. What we need to say instead is, I'm training my memory every day. Fun experiment. Next time you forget something, instead of saying I forgot, simply say I haven't remembered it yet. Then become quiet. Your unconscious often starts searching immediately. Most people have experienced the answer suddenly appearing a few moments later. Why? Because you gave your mind a search command instead of a delete command. The next few are going to be about identity. These are markers. If you find yourself saying these, then your unconscious mind has decided your identity, and you can start shifting and softening that identity by changing the way you speak about yourself. So here we go. First, malware. I am an anxious person. The unconscious hears, this is who I am. I must be it every day. Upgrade. I'm experiencing anxiety. You could even say, I've been experiencing it a lot lately. That's fine. That's a season. That's not locking you into an identity. Now anxiety becomes temporary instead of your identity. Malware. I'm depressed. Upgrade. I'm experiencing depression. Do you see the difference? We're not calling it our identity. We're calling it our experience. Simple switch of spells. Or part of me feels depressed today. I think that one's even better. Malware. I'm broken. I hear this from a lot of my clients, especially at the beginning. I'm so broken, I need your help. The second I hear that, we switch that to I'm learning. Because usually within that first phone call, I can find a few things that they've learned and they've changed. And once you realize that you're learning, you can no longer be broken. Malware. That's just who I am. Upgrade. That's who I've been in my past, and I'm changing it every day. Malware. I've always been this way. That locks you into the identity. It says to your unconscious mind that you will always be that way. So the upgrade is, I've practiced this pattern for a long time. Then you could add, and I'm changing it more every day. Limitation malware. We hear this from children a lot. I can't. The unconscious mind hears, stop processing. Upgrade, how can I? I like to say, I haven't figured a way out yet. I haven't figured it out yet. Malware, I don't know. The unconscious mind hears, search terminated. We don't have the information. Upgrade, I wonder what the answer might be. Or, let me think about that. Malware, I'll never figure this out. I remember myself saying that many times, trying to figure this stuff out. But what I learned to do is say, I'm still learning this. And I like to say after all of those, and I'm getting better every day. Malware, this is impossible. If you don't believe you can finish a project, why would you even start it? So if you believe it's impossible to start with, it's a ridiculous pursuit. So the upgrade is, I haven't found the solution yet. The next few are emotional malware. This always happens. I hear that when somebody's tired of a certain situation arising. And these are the good ones. These are the ones that we can start really learning from, because once you notice a situation arising numerous times in your life and you are at a point where you're going to say, this always happens to me. Every day this happens. That does not mean there's something in your raw data that's coming at you every day. That does not mean that you need to stop this situation from happening. That is your first sign as the human programmer that there's an unconscious program telling a story from your past over top of the current reality. So when you say this always happens, we need to switch it to, this happened today. This just happened now. And I've noticed a pattern of it. I wonder what that means inside of me. I wonder what story I'm telling over and over. And that's hard to do, because by the time that emotion comes up of this always happens, usually the inexperienced human programmer has become the emotion. And the body is talking, not the awareness. So there's your first clue. When you start to see these spells and you try not to speak them, when you find yourself speaking them unconsciously, you just caught yourself in an unconscious moment where the body had taken over and you were aware of it. What does that mean? Once you're aware of something, you can fix it. The next malware, nothing ever works. That's a sign that you don't have enough self-confidence. That's a sign that you need to go back and learn the process more. Not that the process is too hard, that you don't know it well enough, or maybe, just maybe, in the case of what I'm doing for myself, I got to a point where nobody else had books about what I was learning. And so maybe you are out in the unknown. Maybe you're learning something that nobody else knows. So maybe it's not that nothing ever works. It might more likely be that you're doing hard stuff. Malware, everything is falling apart. Upgrade, things are changing. Malware, I'm overwhelmed. This is a key. Anytime we hear I'm overwhelmed, that is a good indication that we are in fight, flight, or freeze. Most likely freeze. Upgrade, I have a lot of information to organize. And when you feel that, when you hear the I'm overwhelmed come up, that means you need to get somewhere quiet and get away from the situation that you're in. That's your clue. Malware. My life is a mess. Most of us feel this many times in our life. It's an indication that things need to change. It's not a bad thing. The upgrade is I'm reorganizing my life. All right, these next few are relationship malware. Number 1, people can't be trusted. This one's scary. If you are around dangerous people and they cannot be trusted, then you need to remove yourself from those people. If you cannot do it, then you need to remember those people are not to be trusted, at least until you figure yourself out. But that does not mean that everyone cannot be trusted. And so the upgrade is some people have broken trust. Some people don't see themselves and they're projecting onto me, and that makes them untrustworthy to me. But I can find other people, and we do that by fixing ourselves, and that's what we're doing today. Malware. Nobody understands me. Upgrade. I haven't found my people yet. When we're in the thick of it and we are in a low vibration, that usually means we've attracted a group of people in a low vibration. And that usually means we are surrounded by that vibration. And it's our job to get ourselves out. And that's a hard thing to do. And in that situation, nobody is going to understand you. You need to find your people. And so you won't find understanding in those groups. Malware. My kids never listen. This is the most deadly malware a parent can have, because what does that program the unconscious mind to think of? It programs the unconscious mind to find more times when the kids don't listen, and you're always going to find that. So any parent that says my children never listen, I hate to say this, please take this with the best. You're the problem, because you're programming your mind to look for times when your kids don't listen, and that's not your fault. You didn't know. Your parents did that to you. So it's time to stop that cycle. You need to start saying to yourself, my kids are learning to listen, because then that will switch the program inside to look for times when they're learning to listen. And we know we get more of what we focus on. So if you're focused on the not listening, you're going to get more of that, because that's where your attention is going. Your attention needs to go to what you want, not what you don't want. Malware. My spouse makes me angry. Very dangerous to a relationship. If your spouse is doing things on purpose and is a narcissist, you need to get away from them if they're making you angry on purpose. But you can't tell that when you're in the middle of the system, because it looks like they're doing it on purpose. So the upgrade is I create anger in response to what happens. This restores your personal power, because then you can look and see if your anger is justified or not before you respond. Very, very hard to do, but you can do it. Now we'll get to some health malware. My bad back. I said that for nearly 20 years while working as a caregiver and doing heavy lifting for my job. And as soon as I got done with that kind of work and I learned how to be a human programmer, over about 2 years, I started saying my back is healing, and now my back is healed because my body listened to my commands. Malware, my anxiety. Upgrade, the anxiety I've been experiencing. Separate yourself from the anxiety. It is not your identity. It is a season. It is a symptom of where you're at in life right now, and probably a symptom meaning that you're growing. So it might actually be uncomfortable excitement. Malware, I get sick every year. This was my favorite. Every year I got bronchitis. Until I stopped saying that. Until I started saying my body is getting stronger every year. Malware, I'm getting old. Upgrade, I'm gaining experience. Time malware. I don't have time. You know what the unconscious hears when you say that. The unconscious hears time is scarce. The unconscious mind is programmed to find more areas where time isn't enough. So our upgrade is, that is not a priority right now. If you don't have time for it, then you must need to put it on your schedule for the next day and make it a priority the next day. Malware. I'm running out of time. Upgrade. I need a better plan. See, when we blame time, it's out of our control. When we blame ourselves, then we are in control of our schedule and we decide what to do and when to do it. Malware. Life is short. Upgrade. Life is precious. I like that one. Success malware. I'll try. That often means I'm already preparing to fail. So upgrade, I'll do it. I'll find a way. I'm committed. Malware. Hopefully. Upgrade, I'm creating the outcome. You see the difference? One is, I hope to the gods. The other is, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to put my focus on it until I get it. Feelings follow focus, and I will not focus on anything else until it's done. Malware. If I'm lucky. Upgrade. I'm prepared. Now for some of my favorite, the famous morning spell. This is just a personal belief of mine, but I believe that good morning is a spell that we pass on to pass on morning. So I don't say good morning, I say grand rising. Many conscious language practitioners point out that mourning means grief or sorrow. Whether intended or not, they prefer not to start the day with that association. I would rather say grand rising, royal rising, beautiful day, happy Tuesday, good to see you, rather than good morning. Weekend spells. I don't want to wish anybody being weak after their hard work for the week at their work. So some people avoid saying weekend because they hear weakness. Whether literally or symbolic, they choose alternatives like Saturday or Sunday. What are you doing this Saturday? Rather than what are you doing this weekend? Or what are you doing on your days off? Or I call them my recharge days or my freedom days or my adventure days, but none of them make me weak. So the most important lesson, the goal is not to become obsessed with every word. The goal is simply to become aware. Because your unconscious mind is always listening. Every sentence is either a command, a prediction, a description, or an identity installation. And once you begin hearing language this way, you'll notice that people are casting spells all day long. I always mess things up. Nothing works for me. I'm bad with money. I can't change. And the unconscious simply replies, command accepted. The moment you change the spell, you begin changing the program. That doesn't magically solve every problem overnight, but it does something incredibly important. It stops reinforcing the old reality and starts rehearsing the new one. Now, as you get ready to move on to the next part of this lesson, that is the self-hypnosis installation of what we just talked about. So in this video, we've discovered something very important. You are not broken. You are simply programmed. And the programs can be easily and effortlessly updated again and again. The first program we're going to update together is survival. Because before we can build confidence, We must build safety. Before we can trust ourselves, the body must feel safe enough to listen. Before we can create a new future, we must teach the body that the danger is over. And that's exactly what you'll experience in the first Human Programmer Academy self-hypnosis installation session on the next page. Be sure to do this at a time when you have at least a half hour to rest, when you can lay down or sit up and think of nothing else. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb and enjoy the magic. As you begin this journey, perhaps the most important thing to remember is this: the goal is not to become someone new. The goal is to remember who you were. The awareness that has been watching everything that happened since birth, before fear convinced you otherwise. Be sure to check out the page in the welcome orientation videos called Self-Hypnosis Tips before the installation session, so that you are mentally prepared for the changes that will take place. This session is designed to move you from fear, rumination, and survival activation into the present moment safety throughout your day. Remember, you can use these installation sessions as your spiritual practice in your daily routines and rituals. They are very powerful, and listening on purpose is self-hypnosis. I thank each one of you for taking the time to fix your mental health. You are a very, very important part in the healing of the nations, and you have a special purpose, and I'm grateful for you coming into that purpose. So thank you for joining me here, and I'm excited for our journey together.
Break the chains that bind you tight. Through the darkness comes the light. Trust yourself, stand firm, believe. Through the trance, start to receive guidance, clarity from within. With each breath, let change begin. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song.